Alright, what's up everybody? This is Jesse from VCC Board Repairs. I hope everyone's having a good time on this Saturday. Having your time off, relaxing with the family, having fun. Me, I got some bills to pay, so I'm here live doing some repairs. So today I want to cover Samsung Note 10 Plus that has a low temperature warning. This is where a Samsung will not charge because there's an issue with the phone and it just gives you like this temperature warning. So let's go ahead and get started with the repair. So what I'm going to do first is actually adjust this camera a little bit. Alright, so let's go over to this camera where I am going to show you the actual issue. So let me move things around. Okay, so I have it's a Samsung Note 10 Plus. That's this model with the colorful back, but really it's a Samsung Note 10 Plus. And what you see here is the low temperature warning. So if you see my USB meter, hold on, give it a second. It's hard for you guys to see, but it says 9 volts, but it's only charging at 0.6 amps. And then here on the screen you see a temperature warning. So if I unplug it, within a few seconds you'll see it shut off. I plug in the charger. And then you'll see it's like it's going to charge, but then here we go, we get the temperature warning again. So the cause of that issue is actually not the temperature that's too high or too low, but it's actually an issue on the board. So let me go ahead and just get to the repair. And I see there's some people that have joined the live stream, so welcome. I see there's an Andy here from Cyprus. I am actually located in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I do offer this repair as a mail-in service. So if you need this repair done, reach out to me. I have my website here on the bottom of the screen, vccboardrepairs.com. And then go to the contact us page to get that repair started. Hey, I see there's a Band E cell phones. Welcome to the live stream. Alright, so Samsung, the back is pretty easy. The board is pretty easy to take out. Also make sure you take out the SIM tray. It's for some reason I always forget to take it out, so you just plug in insert your tool to extract the SIM tray. Let's put that to the side. So now that I got all the screws out, I believe, yeah, I got them all out. What you do is, oh, actually look at that, it wasn't even connected. So you gotta pry this plastic off, and then just peel this thing off. And this is actually where the temperature sensor is. So this is where it connects. Actually, let me show you under the microscope. So if we go here, oh wait, give me 1 second, let me fix this. For some reason all my cameras froze and I had to reset them. Alright, so here is the actual connector, which physically is fine, and the actual temperature sensor is this little tiny, I don't know what it is. I think it's like a resistor or thermistor or something like that. So this is actually fine. The part is fine. So many times, you know, shops will replace this piece because this is where the temperature sensor is. So if it's not plugged in, or if it's, you know, damaged, you can replace this and fix the issue. But in most cases, the issue is actually on the board. So it's actually this connector here. Oftentimes it's physically broken, but sometimes it's not even visible. But the only way to know if the issue is, you know, if that's the issue, is to just replace it. So in this case, I'm going to take out the board and take a deeper look. So gotta unplug all the flex cables. That's the annoying part of this model, how many flex cables are all wrapped around here. And there's a little thing here that blocks the SIM tray. Alright, I think this is everything. Also, it's a little difficult to pop this out. Oh, there it goes. Alright, so here's the whole phone, and this is the whole motherboard. So it's actually a pretty tiny board. One interesting thing about the Note 10 and Note 10 Plus, it's actually a sandwich board. So there's actually two layers of the board, very similar to the iPhone 10 logic boards, where it's a sandwich. So like this section here is like another board soldered on top of the main board. Okay, so also we need to take off these cameras. There's like a little film, or not film, there's like a little sticker here that kind of blocks you from removing the camera, so you got to remove that. Gotta unplug. So you know there's like a bunch of cameras here, so you got to unplug each one. Although it's physically one like assembly, there's 3 cables. So we got this off. Let's put this off to the side. And then also there's the front facing camera, which is also attached. Alright, so now we have the board isolated. This is what it looks like. So let's go look under the microscope. Okay, so alright, so I don't know if you guys can see that, but this top section of this connector is like kind of curved. So I think that's part of the failure here. So let's see. So yeah, I mean it's physically fine. But you can kind of see it's curved. Actually, this side too is like curved out. Here's maybe a close-up for you guys. By the way, if you're watching, do me a favor and share this to the repair groups. That way we can have some other people join the live stream. If you catch this afterwards, then share this anyway if you find this information useful. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the videos I make, or if you're new here, also subscribe. Almost to 1,000 subscribers, so that would be awesome to reach. Alright, so there's not much else we can do here other than just go ahead and replace the connector. One thing you do have to keep in mind, like I mentioned, is the sandwich design. So you can see here is the top layer, and then this is the bottom layer. And this gold part is what is called an interposer, which is basically like the middle, I don't know what to call it, like the spacer basically. So alright, so let's go ahead and get this replaced. So what I like to do first is put some flux, and then hit it with some hot air. So really, right now what I'm doing is just spreading the flux on the board. I kind of spilled it everywhere. Alright, let me add. So now that it's warm, it'll be easier to spread the flux. So this connector is in a pretty somewhat tight spot, being for being a connector, because you do have to sometimes touch up the pins. So it's kind of hard to get your iron here on the legs of the connector. Alright, so now that I warmed it up a bit, I'm going to use where is it? I'm going to use my iron and add some solder to it, to the connector. So it doesn't matter if I destroy the connector, because I'm going to take it off anyway. What I'm doing here is actually just tinning everything I could reach in the iron, because that will I'm applying some leaded solder, which has a lower temperature than the factory solder, so that'll ease the process as far as getting this connector removed. But like I mentioned, it's kind of in a tight spot, so I might get solder on the surrounding components, which is fine as long as the solder doesn't bridge against other other components. Okay, so now that this thing is flooded with solder, I'm going to set my hot air to 400 Celsius and 80 air, and then just go ahead and heat this bad boy up. So I'm going to move the board up a little. So I'm just going in circles. Basically, look, you can see the solder has melted on all this, so I'm just going to see if I can grab it. Alright, loose. So one trick is, as far as like removing, is as soon as you see it loose, like all the pads have flowed, all the solder is like liquid, and you can move it, is you lift and then you move your hot air out the way. That way the hot air doesn't just melt the thing. In this case it doesn't really matter because I'm not going to reuse it, but for example, if you're going to pull a connector from one board, from a donor board, to reuse it on another, that's a very helpful technique. As soon as you lift it off the board, you remove your hand and get your hot air out of the way so it doesn't melt the connector or warp it. Alright, so anytime you work on a board and you did a specific step, for example, I removed the connector, so now you got to clean it. Make this a habit. When you do a step, clean, apply new flux. Otherwise, if you just keep going at it without cleaning, at the end you're going to have a lot of burnt and nasty flux. So might as well do it in between the different steps. That way at the end you have a nice clean looking job. Alright, so isopropyl alcohol and a little hand duster, and you can see this is all nice and clean. Alright, so let me go ahead and apply some flux. I'm going to get so I have this folder where I keep all my small parts, but you know what, I just remembered I don't have this in my folder. I actually have it in this little hobby tray. So this little hobby tray actually stores my common components, and this repair is so common that I ended up using this. So I have, for example, my audio ICs right here, audio IC NFC connector, which is what I need now, chestnuts, Tigris, Hydra, TriStar, another Tigris, Touch IC, what are these? Oh, the iPhone 8 MOSFETs. So very handy tool. I got this at Walmart for like $5 or something. So anyway, let's go back to this. Alright, so this is the replacement connector that I got from Mobile Centrics. Link in the description. It's like 90 something cents. Alright, so one thing I like to do whenever doing a connector is tin the pins. To do that, I apply like some flux first. I mean, anytime you're soldering, you need to apply flux, otherwise you're gonna oxidize, or oxidation. I don't know what's the right word there, but something's gonna get oxidized if you try to solder without flux. Alright, so I put a little strand of solder wire nearby, and then I grab some with my micro pencil and just hit each pin. But also be careful not to do what I just did and move the pin. So I'll go ahead and fix that in a second. So I gotta push this back. So this pin right here popped out. Alright, it's back in place. Let me zoom in so you guys can see a little better maybe. So get some solder on my tip and then just touch each pin. So these little ground pads. Alright, so they all have some solder. One of these pins look a little weird, so this is the one that popped out. Basically, it's being held just by nothing, so it's easy to just push it and then like it falls out. Alright, so let me hold the connector. Actually, let me do this. Hold it like that and just hit the sides. Alright, here we go. So the connector is tinned. What that means is you pre-solder some solder on this side. So basically you have both sides with some solder, and this is low melt. You know what, I'm going to do this actually before I solder this on. Yeah, good tip. You could get these connectors from old Samsung batteries. I don't have old Samsung batteries, so I just buy new connectors, and they're under $1, so it doesn't really matter. Alright, so actually what I'm going to do here is going to wick off some of this solder, because it looks like some of these bumps are a little too high. So my technique here is actually using these inverted tweezers, ceramic tweezers from Art of Repair, and I'm going to wick a little bit. Some of these pads are really large, and what's going to happen is, since the elevation or the height of these pads are larger than the small pins, it'll make it hard for the middle pins to make contact on the connector. And also these ground pads oftentimes get larger than they need to. So I'm gonna, alright, that looks pretty good. So basically what I'm doing is I want the middle pins, the small ones, to be have a little higher, have more height than the rest, so it's a lot easier for those pins to make contact, especially since they're a little hard to reach. Alright, so I'm going to place this here. Well, I'm going to try to place this as centered as I can. And now with my hot air, you know, let me just hold it a little. So when dealing with connectors, I like to go in fast circles because since they're kind of plastic, they will melt pretty easy. So I go in fast circles so there's no heavy saturation or heat in one specific spot. I can see the solder is flowed. You see, you know, the pads are shiny. I'm going to straighten it out a little bit. So it's kind of hard to do this. That looks like it made it. It's kind of hard to move your hand in circles while you're, you know, trying to be steady with another hand. Alright, so, and I wish I knew how to adjust the, my camera froze. That ain't fun. Let me fix that. Oh, it's strange. I think all my cameras froze. Alright, this camera's working. This camera. Let me fix these cameras real quick. This is really awkward. How fun. Alright, so that one's back. Why did this camera disappear? I have scope cam. There it goes. Alright, what else? Oh, this top one is frozen too. Look at that. Alright, almost there. So this one's back, this one's back, this one's back, this one's not. Well, I just found actually a shortcut to fix this. Alright, so let's pretend that didn't happen. I gotta figure out what to do because this camera issue happens pretty often. I think because I just have so many USB devices connected that, I don't know. I don't like that. So on this side, the connector's not making good contact. I'm actually not making any contact. So let me try something. So one thing I've done in the past, let me spread some flux with some heat. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get some solder paste. So this is just standard solder paste I use for reballing ICs. I get a very little tiny amount. I'm going to, hold on, let me spread so much flux here. So let me just thin this out a little bit. I'm gonna try to apply like just a little bit. I might ruin this and have to start over, but oops. Alright, there's a lot right there. Let me scoop some back up. Alright, so I think this is manageable to work with. So what I'm going to do is try to cover, coat some some paste, across the pads, and when the solder melts or the paste melts, it'll kind of just collect that at the pads. So let's see if you guys can see that. So you kind of got to be careful when you do this, because you got to control your, oh look, that's not even, I'm going to press it here. You don't want the paste to go everywhere, so you kind of want to be looking at where it goes. Uh-oh, I bumped it. There it goes. That should be good. Also see there's a bridge here, which technically doesn't matter. Alright, let me inspect this again. Just let me do this. Let me clear that bridge just so I don't just leave it there. So if you guys can see, there's these caps. There's these two caps right here. So I'm gonna use some hot air and wick to just clean that up a little. So I'm just touching the corner of the wick on this spot where the solder bridge, and I'm mostly putting the hot air on the wick itself, not the board necessarily. That way the wick will suck up that solder. There it goes. Cleared it. Alright, so let's see how this looks. Now, alright, this one pad, alright, you guys can't see, but the two middle ones look soldered. Just this one on the side looks a little funky. Let me see if I can touch it up with my iron. And also let me check the previous ones. Yeah, these are good. On this side, this is one bottom one on the right side is not making good contact. So let me just add a little more flux. Put a little solder on my iron. Actually, let me add a little solder there. This is a ground pad. I can see it's not taking, it's not melting right away, so I'm gonna use some hot air for assistance. There it goes. Now that I've added a little more solder for my iron, the hot air should be able to kind of, I guess, spread the solder out properly. So yeah, so now I could tell it looks pretty solid, like in every joint here. So I'm gonna apply some isopropyl alcohol and just kind of clean up the area. So all that paste I had just applied, it all basically melted on one of the pads, and it basically formed and disappeared because it's soldered onto something, you know. So, but the tricky part about doing it that way with adding like a paste is that if you don't control your hot air, you can't spread. You could potentially spread it to places where you can't get it back out, and it will just create a nightmare for you. So just be careful, you know. So yeah, I think this is soldered on. Alright, so like I mentioned, I put paste. I just want to do a quick visual inspection, make sure I didn't bridge anything else with that paste. Yeah, if you're still here watching, click that like button. That'd be great. That helps me out, and also helps you guys out, because it'll then start recommending more of my videos to you. So sure would like to see that like button smashed. If you're new here, or if you just like my videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Alright, so right now what I'm going to do is do a quick test. So I'm not going to put in the cameras yet. I'm just going to plug everything in so I can test it. So there's like a bunch of flex cables here. Alright, plug in the battery. And then this is, like I mentioned, this is the wireless coil NFC temperature thing. So what I do is I fold this metal plate back, so I have the connector here exposed, and then I'll just plug it in. Hold on. And I plug it in. There it goes. Alright, it's plugged in. So in theory, this should work. That will be embarrassing if it doesn't. I'll just log off, delete this video, and it never happened. Alright, so let's see, it's charging. And if we get a, there you go, percentage. So if you remember from the beginning of the video, it would never get to the screen, it would just stay at the temperature warning. So here, can you guys see that? Probably not, but I'll just read it to you. So we're getting 9 volts and 1.5 amps as for charging. Previously we were only getting 5 volts and like 0.06 amps. So Samsungs have what is called quick charging, which means it actually boosts up the voltage to 9 volts and 1.5 amps, so then you get super fast charging. iPhones don't have that. Well, at least I think the 11 and 12 series do, but yeah, look at that. So we're now at 1%, 2%. So you could consider this fixed. So I'll just assemble this, after. But yeah, this phone is fixed. It's ready to go. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the video. Make sure you subscribe, like I mentioned. Like the video if you thought it was useful. If you didn't like it, don't click that dislike, but you should just close the window. Go to another video. Check out the links in the description if you want to support the channel. I have my gear page where I have the list of recommended tools. Basically, what hot air station, soldering iron I use, what thermal camera I use, and all that. If you want to, also another way to support the channel is buy some of our merch. So we have like hoodies like this, t-shirts, and a coffee mug for sale. So it's linked in the description. And if you are struggling with microsoldering, you're trying to learn but you still have trouble, check out the link in the description about our 90-day microsoldering program. This is a online course where we walk you through how to solder so that it's a profitable service for your shop. So one thing about that is actually much better than in-person course, because it is not just a 5-day course where like we try to cram as much information and then you're on your own. You have 90 days for this. So we walk you through from beginning to the end. We do twice a week Zoom calls where we talk over all these different techniques and stuff like that. So there's so much, I can't just say it all in the video, but yeah, let me know if you're interested in that course. But if not, like the video, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.